Let's talk about this crazy event, which was the national championship game in college football last year. Got Nick Saban talking that talk about how the college football playoff system doesn't get it right. Quote, do you really get the best team? So we know Alabama finished last year 11-2 in the season and didn't make the college football playoff. Instead, Alabama had to take his talents to play in the Sugar Bowl and beat up on Kansas State 45-20. We all saw that. So Nick Saban talked about the college football playoff system when it came to parity in the FBS and whether there was a better way to decide which team gets into the postseason. We all know there's a better way to doing this than the way that they are doing it. So here's the quote. But the problem with the way the whole system is, there's no accounting for that right. Saban told Joel Klatt, my dog, I love me some Joel Klatt. He kills college football. He says this on his podcast, The Joel Klatt Show. So all we do is take the teams that win the most games at the end of the year, put them in the playoffs. But do you really get the best teams? When they told me that we will be favored against 3 out of the 4 teams that got in the playoff, I'm like, why aren't we in the playoffs? Damn right. Why weren't they in the playoffs? They were favored in his eye. I think it was 2 actually, but 3. The point being, you're supposed to beat 2 or 3 of the teams that's in the 4-team playoffs, and y'all on the sidelines. Make that make sense. So you know what happened, right? We saw the national championship game, Georgia. I don't know what you call this. Drumline drummed up TCU 65-7 on the sideline, eating wings and things, just chilling, like talking to the cheerleaders. Like, I know we ain't supposed to be hollering, but what it do? We winning 65-7 in the game. One of the biggest blowouts in the history of the national title game. You think there was one bigger? I don't know that one. Georgia beat Ohio State and TCU topped Michigan to get to the final. So Alabama was seen as the favorite in each of their games during the season. And as I said, they were the one who were favored against Michigan and TCU if it talks about the college football playoffs, and underdogs against Georgia and Ohio State. But I think they would have sniped Ohio State as well. So here's another quote from him. Does that mean they have a better team, Nick Saban said? Or does it mean that those people don't know what they're talking about? That's right. And we know who he's talking about. I really don't know that, but I'm not being critical of anybody. Yes, you are. But if you're going to have parity, you have to have a better way of figuring out who has the best teams, not just because you lose 2 games on the last play of the game, Alabama, right? So now we look at this whole system like, bruh, we see the flaws. After that game right there, I think it came to all of our attention, national conversation of the fact that y'all got real big problems. Like, this can't be the end result. So some people immediately run to expansion. Some people run to the fact that, hey, no, it can't be expansion. We just got to figure out how we're going to make this situation work. How can we get this system better? Because right now, this ain't good enough. Here's his last quote. He says, that knocks you out when you may be better than somebody else who didn't have the same circumstances that they had played. All right, Nick Saban, you need to go to class too. Join some of them boys and that they had played. That's how I talk. You shouldn't talk like that if you're Nick Saban. All right, so look, the college football playoff will expand for the 2024 season. So like I said, we're going to run to expansion thing that's going to fix our problems. No, that's just going to address some of the symptoms. The illness is, how do you properly measure the best teams with everyone having an uneven road to getting to their destination? Everybody wants to be undefeated. If you're undefeated, you're in the top program, big program, FBS program, you're going to be in the playoffs. Simple as that. Even if you're a Cinderella team, a dark horse, you win all your games, kind of hard to deny you. But they try to keep you at number 5 for all the year, right? They don't want you in there. It's hilarious. They'll be like, dog, that team sucked. No, they don't suck. They won all their games. But who did they play? Well, it don't matter. Whoever they played, they beat them. But still, would they beat Alabama? I don't know. They didn't play Alabama. And that's how we end here every year. Now, it's usually not that drastic, right? Usually it's not that bad in the sense of, Alabama, y'all not going to be on the outside. And then we're not going to watch a 65-7 beatdown. So that made it so extreme. We had to address it and become a national conversation. But who can't agree with Nick Saban in this situation? Who doesn't? Like, everyone believes that Nick Saban got this one right in terms of y'all system flawed. And stop doing that, because we should have been in there and we would have certainly done better than what that end result was. So what do you guys recommend for the college football playoffs to properly identify the top 4 teams? More importantly, to not see what we saw again last season. I don't know, a few months ago.